guys, it's SJ. I hope you're well. Welcome round to mine, to lockdown, to after homeschooling day. I'm a mum of 3 and I make gentle parenting videos, a lot of them here on YouTube. My channel is basically about all things motherhood that I kind of really care about. So I do baby names on a Monday because I love baby names, and then I do lots of gentle parenting tips and advice because it's something that I've really enjoyed and really practice, and also it is a practice. It's like a continual reminder. So I've got a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I wanted to fill in the gap about gentle parenting a newborn because I was so purposeful about this being the right way for me to be as a mum. And I wanted to be very connected, I wanted to be very bonding, I wanted baby first. I was all into that kind of stuff from when I was pregnant and very idealistic about what motherhood was going to be like. But I had a lot of techniques put in place ready for those first year, and I wanted to let you know that you can be a gentle parent from the very beginning. These techniques are so lovely and they really prepare you for toddlerhood. And then straight after this, what I'm going to do is link on screen the gentle parenting for toddlers. This will lead right you through the baby years, and then that will take you through the toddler years, and then there's about 30 more videos on everything from how to stop being a shouty mum to how to deal with whinging and whining, and tons of other stuff, all about gentle positive discipline and things. So yes, let me take you through the tips. So the first one, or the techniques, the first one is to, when you bring your baby home, introduce them to the house. And I loved this idea because I was always a real strong believer in that idea that you don't know when babies become conscious. Like, how do we know what they're understanding and what they're taking in? And we do know that they're probably more conscious than we'd ever know because you can ethically test that. But we know that they understand, that they respond to smells, to music, obviously to their parents' voice, to sounds, like the sounds of the home, especially if there's older children there or lots of you. So it was a lovely idea to, when you bring the baby home, your newborn home from hospital. So Freddie, 10 years ago, came home from Chelsea and Westminster. He was born right in central London, crazy, you know, busy ward, and I had not had the gentle birth that I wanted. And I remember bringing him home and the lights were low. My parents were so cute and they'd lit candles, and I didn't want this big noisy, you know, I came in very gently with him, and I took him around room to room and was like, this is home, welcome home, we've been so waiting for you, we're so happy that you're here, let me show you all the stuff you've heard. This is the oh, that's Evelina, she's having a little cuddle. This is the kitchen, this is where mummy makes all the yummy food that we have, this is your bedroom, you'll be sleeping here next to me. And it's just a lovely ritual to add into a newborn day, and it gets you used to that respect and treating them like another person in your family, proper person, not the baby. And that's the second tip, is to always use their name as much as possible if you've chosen a name already. If you haven't, crazy. I had to know what the name was going to be, but I would always use the baby's name. So just again, giving them that respect and that identity, and also helping you to treat them like a real present person whose point of view and opinions matter. And I found it really hard when I felt controlled by my newborn because I didn't expect it. I was like, well, it's up to me, I'm the parent. But actually no, like there were days when my newborn baby, who might be 2 weeks old, would not let me get dressed that day. Which sounds so bonkers, but it's true. Whereas if I'm thinking, and it would make you frustrated when you felt you should be in control, but using their name as much as possible. Oh, Freddie wants me to sit with him. It allows you to feel better. You know, you're not just giving in to a baby or newborn. You're spending time with your son, your daughter, and you're letting them, their needs come first. So using their name as much as possible, not just the baby, is a really lovely one. Another good practice to get into is asking their permission for everything that's going to happen to them. So I'm going to change your nappy now, is that okay? And then just having a little pause, wait for them to make a little, they might, you know, I loved nappy changing weirdly because I'd always be like right up in their face, and it was like a little nice time sometimes where they would scream, but they might be like, oh, they're like, okay, you said yes, let's do it. Or you know, just waiting for that communication. It gets you used to understanding that when toddler techniques, a lot of them is about asking their permission, giving them choices, giving them options, showing your children that you will pivot an opinion when they're older based on their point of view. And that can start right from newborn, and it's really nice. If you've always done that, you will find the battles much less when your kids are older, because you're used to it. So I'd always do that. And again, it comes back to that, you know, respect, and that being, you know, a really nice mum who takes the time to tell them this is going to happen now, because often, you know, we're so busy, we're so frantic, our hands are so busy, our heads are in a different place, we're knackered, we're going through the motions. You know, with a third baby, you know, you've got this baby there and you're screaming over them like, get this done, and, you know, it's so chaos. Life can be chaos. So slowing down to ask the permission, and then something that might take a little bit longer, but that's okay. Sleep training. I think this is a sticky subject for so many people. And can you do gentle parenting and sleep training, or are they like polar opposites? Do you have to co-sleep and baby wear and breastfeed? And you know, we're all just doing our absolute best. Like with Freddie, I didn't breastfeed him. He was always in his buggy. I didn't wear him. I didn't get on with the slingy thing, my baby Bjorn, and that was just the way that we were. But I did sleep training, but there are gentle sleep training methods, and I think that sleep training should only ever be judged on how much sleep is affecting you and your baby. Like, I've had really tough times when I've been absolutely exhausted. I've known people who've relationships have broken down. You know, mums going back to work on no sleep is not healthy, and children just being overtired a lot. So sleep training is absolutely important part of it, I believe, and I've always done it, and I've always done it in a gentle way, or a way that was right for me and my family. So for Freddie, that was from when he was 10 weeks old. He was a very chilled baby. I started putting him upstairs by himself to self-soothe, to self-settle, to know he could chill by himself. And it was a sort of, again, like a, you have your time, I have my time. And I would put him down, I would listen and listen and listen. I would always sit right outside the door and listen to all his noises, and realised it was a huge thing for me, light bulb, that he makes so much noise when he was going to sleep. But it didn't mean that he was upset or angry or needed me. He was just a really noisy settler. And then sometimes obviously he would call out to make a slightly different noise, and I would always go in and I did the pick up, put down technique. So I'd pick him up, mummy's here, hold on to him. As soon as he started to settle, put him straight back down and walk back out again. And I did that, and it worked for us. So you don't have to think that I can't, if I buy into this, that means I'm buying into no sleep training. You can do it, in my opinion. I loved this technique called the slow technique. So slow is basically a way of helping you to cope with her crying. The relentless crying, the crying can really get you, and same way as tantrums really get you when they're older. It feels like they're having a go at you. Or I remember explaining it to my husband, like, it feels like the person I really love has just shouted at me all day. When Evelina was such a cryy baby, she was a colicky baby, she cried non-stop, and it was just like so difficult. But slow really helps. It's an acronym, so I'm going to tell you what it means. I'm just reading it. So S stands for stop. So remember this, that the crying isn't a panic button. The crying isn't, I'm in distress, you know, like it would be if a grown-up was crying. It's a communication. They're trying to tell you something. So immediately stop, take your breath, think, okay, go into this calmly, don't join them in the emotion. And that's all stuff for later as well. Listen, what is the reason for their crying? Babies cry to communicate. What are they trying to communicate? What is going on here? O is for observe. What's my baby doing? What happened just before this? You know, could they, and then also, you know, if they're turning their head away, they can be really overstimulated. I really overstimulated my first baby. I was like the mum with the maracas and the, like, I don't know what I was doing, but he was just like constantly like, enough. You know, figuring out what's going on. And again, that's so important for later on in gentle parenting, when they say take a step back and treat the cause, not the symptom. And then W is for what's up. So then responding to the need, and not worrying about the behavior, which is the crying. So it's called the slow technique. It's in a book called The Baby Whisperer, which I loved. It's probably a bit old-fashioned now, and there's probably better stuff out there, because that was what I read when I was pregnant with Freddie. But I really liked it because it was all like very baby-led and baby communication-led. But I know some of you have not liked that book, but again, all to our own. And the last two is, as they get on the move, babies getting on the move is really, really difficult. And and then you suddenly start realizing this whole, like, no, you're pulling things out from drawers, you're being naughty, you know, where did this, you know, all the danger, suddenly the world seems so dangerous. And it can be a really testing time for when we feel like we have to start punishing what's naughty and what is just age appropriate. And I've told them no, and they keep on doing it. Like, what do I do? So I always had a really lovely phrase which I liked, which was not for babies. And I've read, what was stuck in my mind was, your baby might see you opening the fridge and closing it and doing all this stuff, and then they think, they're mirroring you, so they'll go and do it, and then they get yelled at and they're like, hey, like, why? So using the phrase rather than no, and don't punish something that's age appropriate. There's no point, they're not going to understand. They might act differently out of fear, but that's not what you want. What you want is to communicate that that is not for babies. And I always use that phrase with all of my kids, and we never had kids that would, like, you know, you'd have to take them to grandparents' house, have to clear the decks, because they were always very good. Obviously baby proof, and you make sure they are totally safe, not in any danger, but when they're doing little things, picking stuff up, not for babies, is a really nice one that I've always used and really liked. And the last thing is other people's relationships with your kids. And I get asked this all the time, like, how does my husband or how do grandparents feel about this style of parenting? And you are going to get judged. No matter what you do, you're going to get judged. If you're a really shouty mum, if you do it exactly the way your parents did it, they'll certainly have a different point of view about how to do it differently. And I've definitely had criticism for, like, I've had direct criticism, people like, I do not agree with your parenting, from family members before. And I always just think, well, this is my relationship with my child, and that is what I am doing. However, I would try and say, this is what I would like to do and why to my partner. But I have to accept that they're going to have a different type of relationship with their extended family, with their grandparents. And we all are like that. Like, we're all able to adapt to different people's ways of reacting with us, and it might be like, oh, my mum was always like this, but oh, my granddad, if I had to go to his house for the weekend, would be really, like, dramatic and shouty about things. Or, you know, the other way around, sometimes we have really strict parents and our grandmas are the more gentle ones with us, and the more ones who sit and listen to our points of view. That's most people's experiences, really, isn't it? Not mine. My granny is not a chatter. But so just think, you know, our children can adapt. Trust your children to be able to adapt to different people, and you can't change everybody, and they're going to learn something from everybody. As long as everyone's treating them with love and basic respect, stand your ground and say, this is how I parent, and it will always work for you. And you will, if you really believe in it, and probably you'll get 90% of the parenting is going to be on your shoulders, then go for it. So then that leads into the toddler video, which is coming up next. If there's any more topics you would like to chat about, one thing I was thinking quite a lot about is choosing childcare, and things like that. But anything, let me know below. Say hello, let me know how old your kids are, or if you're just pregnant, or if you're just working childminder below. And thanks so much for watching, for being here. Love it if you subscribed. Head over to Instagram as well for more day-to-day stories of me and the kids, and I will see you on my next video. Bye guys.